Hey everyone, welcome back to EasyTalk English. I'm Linda, and I'm really happy you're here with us today. Wherever you're listening from, I hope you're feeling relaxed and ready for a real conversation.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex. Thanks for joining us again. You don't need a notebook right now. Just listen, enjoy, and learn English the way people actually use it in real life.
Alex, let me ask you something very simple before we start. Did you get my message this morning?
Yeah, I did. I got it right after I woke up. It was actually the first thing I saw on my phone today.
Okay, pause for a second. Did you notice what we just did?
Let me think. Oh, wow, yes! We both used the word get without even thinking about it.
Exactly. That's what I love about this word. We use it so naturally that we don't even realize it's there.
And that's why today's topic is so important. Get is a very small word, just 3 letters, but it's everywhere.
You get messages, you get home, you get tired, you get better. And sometimes you don't get it.
Yes, and that last one happens a lot when you're learning English. Someone explains something and you think, I don't get it yet.
The funny thing is, even though get is so common, many learners feel confused by it.
That's true. People often ask, what does get really mean? Because it seems to mean many different things.
But here's the good news. Get is not a difficult word. It's just very flexible.
And English speakers love flexible words. We like short, easy words that work in many situations.
That's why get is part of everyday English. Not formal English, not textbook English, real-life English.
The kind of English you hear at work, with friends, in messages, and in daily conversations.
So in today's episode, we're not going to rush. We're going to slow down and look at get step by step.
We'll use simple examples, real situations, and natural conversations, just like the one we started with.
By the end of this episode, we want you to feel more comfortable when you hear or use the word get.
Not perfect, just comfortable and confident.
So if you've ever thought, I hear get all the time, but I'm not sure how to use it, you're in the right place.
Let's learn how to use get the way English speakers really do, naturally, casually, and in real life.
All right, let's get started. Before we jump into many examples, I think it's important to stop for a moment and answer one big question. When learners hear the word get, they often ask, what does this word really mean? And honestly, that question makes a lot of sense.
Yes, because get can look confusing at first. You hear it in many different situations, and it feels like it changes meaning all the time. That could be scary for learners.
But here's the good news. Get is not random, and it's not impossible to understand. In fact, most of the time, it means just 3 simple things.
Exactly. If you remember these 3 core meanings, everything else becomes much easier. The 3 meanings are receive, have, and become.
Let's start with the first one, receive. Receive means something comes to you. You don't go and take it, it arrives.
This is very common in January. For example, you might say, I get a lot of New Year messages, or I get wishes from my friends.
Yes, and notice something important here. In textbooks, you often see the word receive, but in real life, people usually say get.
That's a key point. Native speakers prefer get because it sounds natural, friendly, and everyday.
Now let's move to the second meaning, have. This one surprises many learners.
Yes, because get can sometimes mean have in a general sense. For example, you can say, in January, I get more free time.
Or, this year, I get a fresh start. That doesn't mean you physically receive it. It means you now have it in your life.
This meaning is very common when people talk about a new year, new chances, or new situations.
Now, the third meaning is probably the most important one, become.
Yes, this is where get really shines. When you say get plus adjective, it often means you change into a new state.
For example, I get tired after the holidays. That means I become tired.
Or I get motivated at the start of January. You weren't motivated before, but now you are.
This meaning is perfect for talking about feelings, changes, and daily life.
And that's why get is everywhere when people talk about January. Energy, motivation, stress, or calm.
So if you remember just this, receive, have, and become, you already understand most uses of get.
You don't need to memorize long grammar rules. You don't need to study lists all at once. Just listen to how people use get in real situations and connect it to these three meanings.
English doesn't need to feel heavy. With words like get, it's about feeling comfortable, not perfect.
So take a breath. Get is not your enemy.
It's actually one of your best friends in everyday English.
Now that we understand the big picture of get, let's move to the most common way people use this word in daily life. Honestly, this is probably the meaning you hear every single day without even noticing it, and that is get meaning receive. It happens when something comes to you, like a message, an email, or a gift. And English speakers almost always choose get in these situations because it feels natural and friendly.
Yes, this use of get is everywhere, especially with phones and messages. A very common question people ask is, "Did you get my message?" It sounds easy, casual, and very real. The answer is usually just as simple, like, "Yes, I got it," or "Sorry, I didn't get it yet." And nobody feels stressed when they hear or say these sentences.
Think about a normal morning. You wake up, check your phone, and see a message from a friend or a coworker. In that moment, you can say, "I just got your message," or "I got your message this morning." These sentences are short, but they already sound like real-life English, not something from a textbook.
The same thing happens with emails, especially at work or school. In textbooks, you often see the word receive, but in daily conversation, people usually say, "I got your email," or "Did you get my email?" Saying, "I received your email" sounds much more formal and distant, and most people don't talk like that in everyday situations.
So here's an important tip for learners. Get is casual and perfect for conversations, messages, and speaking. Receive is more formal and is often used in writing, like official emails or documents. Knowing this difference helps you sound more natural when you speak.
Now let's talk about gifts, because this is another very common situation, especially around New Year or birthdays. When someone gives you something, you can simply say, "I got a gift from my friend," or "I got a really nice present." This sounds warm and personal, and it feels much closer than saying, "I received a gift."
January is a great example for this. Many people say things like, "I got so many New Year messages," or "I got wishes from my family and friends." With just one small word, you can talk about connection, kindness, and daily moments.
What I really like about get is how easy it is to tell small stories. You don't need long sentences or difficult grammar. You can say, "I got a message," "I got an email," or "I got a gift," and people immediately understand what happened. And if you want to add more detail, you can simply add when or from who, like, "I got a message this morning," or "I got a gift from my sister." That's already enough to sound natural and clear.
So remember this simple rule. When something comes to you, whether it's a message, an email, or a gift, get means receive. It's easy, flexible, and one of the most useful words you can use in everyday English.
Now let's move to one of the most important ways to use get in everyday English. This is when get means become. And honestly, this is the one you'll hear the most when people talk about feelings and changes.
Yes, and this use is especially helpful for learners. When you say get plus a feeling, you are simply talking about a change from one state to another.
For example, if I say, "I get tired after work," it just means I become tired. There's no special grammar here, just a very natural way to describe what happens to your body.
Exactly. And this happens all the time in January. Many people say things like, "I get tired easily after the holidays," because the body is still adjusting.
Another very common example is hunger. You can say, "I get hungry before dinner," or "I get hungry when I skip lunch."
Yes,
Those sentences sound very real. You're not describing food, you're describing a change in how you feel.
We also use get for temperature. For example, I get cold in the morning, or I get cold when it rains.
That's a great point. These are small daily changes, and get is the easiest way to talk about them.
Now let's talk about emotions, because this is where get becomes really powerful. You can say, I get happy when I see my friends.
Or, I get angry when I'm tired. That one is very honest, and many people can relate to it.
Around January and the New Year, emotions come up a lot. People often say, I get motivated at the start of the year.
Yes, but at the same time, some people say, I get stressed when I think about goals. Both are very natural sentences.
You can also use get to talk about energy. For example, I get more energy in the morning, or I get sleepy early at night.
And again, the pattern is always the same. You're talking about a change, not a permanent state.
This is why get is so useful for daily English. With one small word, you can talk about how your body and mind change during the day.
It also makes your English sound more natural. Instead of saying, I become tired, which sounds formal, you say, I get tired.
Instead of saying, I feel motivated, you can say, I get motivated, and people will understand you right away.
So here's the key idea to remember. Get plus feeling equals become that feeling. That's it.
Try practicing with very small sentences. I get tired. I get hungry. I get happy. I get stressed.
These simple sentences are real-life English. If you can use them comfortably, you're already speaking much more naturally.
Now let's move to another very common way people use get in everyday English. This time, get means arrive, and you probably use it every day without thinking about it.
Yes, this use of get is everywhere in daily routines. We talk about getting home, getting to work, or getting to school all the time.
For example, instead of saying, I arrive home at 6, people usually say, I get home around 6. It sounds softer, more natural, and more friendly.
Exactly. Arrive is correct, but it sounds more formal. In real conversations, get is the word people actually choose.
You can also talk about work very easily with get. For example, I get to work at 9, or I usually get to work early.
And if you're a student, you can say, I get to school at 8, or I get to class just on time. These sentences are very common.
This is very useful when you talk about your daily schedule. You don't need complicated grammar to explain when and where you arrive.
Now let's talk about traffic, because traffic is a big part of daily life for many people. Traffic often decides what time you get home.
Yes, sometimes you plan to get home early, but traffic changes everything. You can say, I got home late because of traffic.
Or, I didn't get to work on time today. That sentence already tells a small story.
Being late is also very easy to talk about with get. You can say, I got to the meeting late, or I got there too late.
And when you finally arrive after a long day, people often say, I finally got home. That word finally shows relief.
Yes, finally got home is such a common phrase. It means the day was long and you're happy to be back.
You can also combine get with time. For example, I usually get home around 7, or I get to work at 8:30.
These sentences help you talk about plans and routines very clearly. You can use them when chatting with friends or coworkers.
So here's an easy tip for learners. When you talk about reaching a place, especially in daily life, get is usually the best choice.
You don't need to worry about sounding too casual. This is how real people speak every day.
So remember, get home, get to work, and get to school are all about arriving. Simple words, real-life English.
Now let's move to another very common and very friendly meaning of get, and this one is about understanding. This use of get is extremely popular in daily conversation.
Yes, and the most common sentence you'll hear is simply, I get it. It means I understand, but it sounds much more natural and relaxed.
For example, when someone explains something to you and it finally makes sense, you can say, Oh, I get it now. This sounds friendly and shows you're following the conversation.
You can also ask, "Do you get it?" when you want to check if someone understands. Teachers, friends, and coworkers use this question all the time.
There's also a very nice sentence that shows empathy, and that is, I get why you feel that way. It means you understand someone's feelings or situation.
Yes, this sentence is great for real conversations. It helps you connect with people, not just understand information.
Now let's move on to some very common phrasal verbs with get. These are phrases you hear every day, and once you know them, English feels much easier.
Let's start with get up. This means wake up or leave your bed. For example, I get up at 7 on weekdays.
Next is get back, which means return. You can say, I get back home around 6, or I'll get back to you later.
Another very useful one is get ready. This means prepare. For example, I need to get ready for work, or she's getting ready for the party.
We also use get better a lot. This means improve or feel well again. You can say, I hope you get better soon, or my English is getting better.
And finally, get along, which means have a good relationship. For example, I get along with my coworkers, or do you get along with your neighbors?
Let's put a few of these into a short, real-life conversation so you can hear how natural they sound together.
Sure. For example, you can say, I got up late today, so I didn't get ready in time. That already sounds like a real morning story.
Then you can add, I finally got back home late, but at least I get along with my boss. Simple words, but very real.
Now, let's talk about some common mistakes learners make with get. These mistakes are very normal, so don't worry.
One common mistake is forgetting the past form. For example, saying, I get your message yesterday, instead of, I got your message yesterday.
Another mistake is using get in very formal writing. Get is perfect for speaking, but sometimes emails or essays need more formal words.
Also, some learners mix up phrasal verbs. For example, saying, get along my homework, which is incorrect.
Yes, that one should be get my homework done. Learning phrases as full units is very important.
The key idea here is context. Get changes meaning based on the situation, so always think about what's happening.
And the more you listen to real English, the more natural this will feel. Soon, you'll hear get and understand it right away.
Before we finish today's episode, let's take a moment to look back at what we learned about the word get. We covered a lot, but the good news is that everything connects very naturally.
Yes, and if you remember, one simple idea is this: one word, many meanings, all from real life. Get changes meaning depending on the situation, and that's what makes it so useful.
We talked about get meaning receive, like getting a message, an email, or a gift. These are things that happen every day, and get sounds much more natural than formal words.
We also learned that get can mean become, especially with feelings. You can say, I get tired, I get hungry, or I get motivated, and people understand you immediately.
Then we used get to talk about arriving somewhere, like getting home, getting to work, or getting to school. This is perfect for talking about daily routines and schedules.
And finally, we saw how get means understand, with sentences like I get it or I get why you feel that way. These expressions help you connect with people, not just share information.
Now, let's do a small and easy practice together. Don't worry about being perfect. Just think about your answer.
Here's the question. What do you get in the morning? You can say something simple like I get coffee or I get messages from my friends.
You can also say, I get ready for work, or I get motivated after breakfast. There is no single right answer.
We'd really love to hear from you, so try writing your answer in the comments using the word get. This is a great way to practice and see how natural it feels.
If this episode helped you feel more comfortable with everyday English, you can gently support us by liking this video and subscribing to EasyTalk English.
We're here to help you practice real English, the kind people actually use in daily conversations.
Remember, you don't need perfect English, you just need real English.
Keep listening, keep practicing, and keep using English in your real life. See you in the next episode.